Put the guns down!
Put the guns down!
We want to live!
Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Enough is enough. Call to action against gun violence in Toronto. More than 200 people marched in downtown Toronto on Saturday, September the 23rd from Yonge Street and Bloor Street intersection to Queen's Park in the annual community march against gun violence in honor of the National Day of Remembrance for Victims of Homicide. The action was organized by several community organizations and gun control advocacy groups, such as Mothers of Peace in Regent Park, Gabe's Red Balloon Foundation, Mending a Crack in the Sky, and Zero Gun Violence, who work to engage mothers and families in need of support to deal with their never-ending grief and trauma after losing their children to gun violence. The Peace Walk was an opportunity for the heartbroken mothers, siblings, and friends to speak out about the impact of gun violence on their lives and an opportunity to say, enough is enough. And that time is now for all levels of government to listen and to take action.
No more deaths in our streets. The crowd will chant, put the guns down. The other one will be
The community event started with a couple of hundred people at Yonge and Bloor with a land acknowledgement and multi-faith prayers. They marched down to Queen's Park via Yonge Street and were escorted by the Out to Ride Bikers, a riding club that was founded in 2007 with the vision to bring together people.
Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Enough is enough!
The march ended with a community gathering on the lawn outside of Queen's Park. Organizers provided an opportunity for advocates, mothers, and youth to express their concerns about the need for timely and sustainable support to address their trauma and grief resulting from the horrific impacts of gun violence. RPTV reporter Fred Alvarado marched with the community members and documented the entire event.
My name is Aretha. My name is Brooklyn, and we will be your MCs for today. I also want to thank the youth for actually coming out today. I know you guys could have been anywhere and you guys decided to come out and support, and I really, really appreciate it because it's really hard to even get these youth to do this. So, yes. Moms, I need you guys to also clap up for yourselves because you guys are strong. Every single day you guys fight, you guys want justice, and this is the reason we're here. Make sure everybody on the street understands why we are here. To stop the gun violence in Toronto, in our GTA, in our communities. Enough is enough. Moms are tired of burying their sons. Moms are tired of crying. Fathers are living, walking on this earth without their sons, without their kings, without their princes. And we shouldn't have to be here doing this. We should be chilling at home, you know what I mean, with our families, but instead we're out here, but we're out here for a good cause. So I have two young people beside me today. As you guys can see, they lost their father. And they're standing tall. They're standing proud. They're standing because guess what? Their father's legend will not go unheard. We're all here for a reason. We all experience something. So today, we're coming together to shout loud and proud, to say enough is enough. Again, enough is enough. So we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna call Elder Vivian Roy to do our opening smudging and land acknowledgements. We'll get for you, I'll hold it for you, no worries.
Hello. Greetings in my language. You went no point in English the cost. In English that's North Wind Woman. I am we from Pungainin Dobinjaba. I'm from Kamkang First Nations. Mampisi go Toronto do da minandon chinaki. I live and work here in Toronto.
You guys heard us, right?
Can you hear me? Maybe
Hello.
Maybe my voice is loud enough. I don't know. Okay. but I was asked to come and do an opening for us. It is customary in our culture that we open things up in a good way. You know, we bring good thoughts, good energies, and we have smudging here. Thank you so much, Robin, for having that smudge open, and that's one of our practices. So we like to start it off in a good way. I'm just going to ask you to take a moment of silence for yourself while I do things the way I know how. So just go ahead and take a moment. Joem na do, kipwech na go nang mampi. We binagden mishnang. We minakyang mampi, we masayang. Minakinagayang majahat. Nagden mishnang. Kipwech na go mampi nang wa. Sinamanda we namasayang nang wa. Prayer, I ask you here today to walk with us in a good way, so that we may walk with our fellow ancestors that have passed on before us, and all those spirits that have left, that have gone on. They also watch us from up above, watch us as people down here. So, Shemi Wedge to my ancestors for all that. And thank you so much for having me up here to be able to open with you in a good way. I'm just going to pass the speaker over really quickly over to my friend Robin here. I'm just going to say a few words about the importance of this beautiful jingle dress.
Ani bocho edition cause wabish gizimi guanque o kichi menomini Mending Dodom Negigim Dodom with Soxic First Nations to Toronto Turtle Island. I always open up with my language. I'm not a language carrier because of the colonialistic views of residential schools. Here you see me in my jingle dress, and this jingle dress is a bundle. It was given to me through a vision, and this vision was my role and responsibility to come out to community and do the work with and for community. These cones that you see here are all filled with prayers. All of these prayers within these cones help heal families, heal sicknesses, heal people that are going through a lot of stuff. And I always get emotional through this because as a person who lived with violence my whole life, I am honored to stand here, but we got to carry on these strong voices for the ones that are not here and the ones that are guiding us through spirit world. So right now I won't be doing a jingle dress dance, but I will be walking, and when we get to Queen's Park, I will be dancing for community. If anybody out there wants to hand me some tobacco for their family, I will be honored to dance for you in this space over there with that tobacco and put out that tobacco in a good way, because this is a role for me to do in community. I have a 17-year-old daughter who's Indigenous and Jamaican, and right now I have to play that role to make sure that she understands that her voice matters, just like all of the youth and all of your voices matter. Without our voices, we wouldn't be standing here together as we hear in solidarity. So if anybody's feeling troubled, you could always stand beside me as well, and I'll light that sage for you. Chimigwech.
Hello. Hi, my name is Nemo and I'm mother of this. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to read a dua. Oh Allah, forgive them, have mercy upon them, pardon them, cleanse and create these species, remove them from all sins. You are the most forgiving, elevate their rank, and forgive them and give them better blessings than what they have in this dunya. Oh Allah, allow us all to live in Shadabandosa. Grant us in good in this world and hereafter. Protect us from the servants of hellfire. Ya Allah, protect their loved ones that they left behind. Allow them to live in Shadabandosa.
Amen. Kyle Carter.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
I also want to just congratulate every one of us that are here today. We know that every step that we take, every time that we come together, we're getting stronger and we're encouraging those who are in need. I'm a chaplain, so I deal with young men that are incarcerated. I deal with in community, so I deal with people who are struggling through the fight that we're talking about. And I also deal with families that sometimes have lost loved ones. So what I'm there today to do is just to pray with you, to encourage us as we go forward, and know that as we move together, change is happening. As we move together and focused, change is happening. Do not be discouraged. Things are getting better. Things, even though we struggle together, as long as we're united, we're going to go forward. So here's the prayer that I have for you today. Mighty Creator of heaven and earth, we give you honor and we give you thanks for the gift of love. Love that we have had, love that we have, and love that we will continue to have for eternity for the ones that have gone before us too soon. It is written, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Lord, hear our prayer and give love to your people and their peace. We pray that you will grant them. We pray that you will grant those among us who are suffering healing, comfort the sorrow, give strength for them to carry on. You understand that love, what it is to lose that our love, because we are all part of your children. You too have lost someone at the hands of others. Restore the hope that we have once had from communities of love. Here the spirit can be healed, and here we can be removed from harm. Lord, hear the prayer of your people and give us love and your peace. We pray against the spirit of self-hate, against the spirit of guilt, against the spirit of anger, against the spirit of revenge. Replace it. Keep going. Replace it with the spirit. Yes. Lord, we pray that you replace that spirit with a spirit of humility, acceptance, and reconciliation. Repair the trauma, the harm, the rejection, the isolation. Help us learn from you and help us learn from one another. You never asked us to do this on our own. And we will continue to rebuild and reconnect. We will restore the relationships that you have asked us to have with one another. We will seek your face and turn from our ways. We will prioritize you the way that you have prioritized us. For increased influence on this as we step forth, Lord. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to pray for protection as we go. Protection as we go together. Protection when we disperse. Protection as we walk the streets. Protection for those who are in government, those who are in community, those who are our families, and for individuals. We need one another. So we pray for your protection as we go. Amen.
Alright, so we're going to have to prolong this for a second until they pass us because they're already here. So before they come, I'm going to let you guys know. So we're going to start south on Jade. I'm sorry, south on Jade. My bad. I'm such a Jade girl. Sorry, my bad. My bad. South on Yonge, turn right onto Richmond Street. We are then going to turn right onto University, walk north to Queen's Park. That's where we will have a series of speakers, which will include lived experience, grassroots, and community organizations as well.
Our chants, are we listening to what our chants are? Don't get distracted of why we're here. Our chants today will be, the people united is how we stop the violence. You guys are gonna chant, enough is enough. Once myself and Brooklyn say that, enough is enough. The other one is no more deaths in our streets. The crowd will chant, put the guns down. The other one will be, mothers are crying, people are dying. The crowd will chant, we want action now. The people need you to help us stop the violence. The crowd will chant, walk with us, talk with us. That's the most important thing. Walk with us, talk with us. Enough is enough. We're here for a reason. Don't be distracted from what's going on over there. We have our
guys can just raise your hand so people can see. If you have a red band around your arm.
Pink. Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Aha! Bonjour, Chimigwachi Bishai. Hello, thank you for coming. Yegosge nikit mampi nangwa nanibya. Chimigwach to go, Jalem the do, Kinamampi, Abishachik. Chimigwach to go and Sigi Shguk, Wimina Matsiang, Minawi Minon Mang, Minawi Mina Masayang, Jalem the do, Chimigo. I want to say thank you to our creator for helping us walk today, this walk, to support all our loved ones and to also remember those who have gone on before us. A lot of this, when we do these things in openings, we do it so we can do things in a good way, so we can hear in a good way, and that we walk in a good way, and that we learn from one another in a good way. So somebody wants to dance in a good way. And all those people that's been affected by gun violence, sitting up there with our Creator, looking down on us. So we got to remember to be respectful and to remember those who have gone on. So I want to say for helping us walk with all different walks of life to remember our loved ones that have gone on. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say is just to remember those who have gone on before us. That's all that's for now.
Hi everyone. I'll try that again. Hello everyone, and thank you all so much for walking. I know it was a long distance, and I saw a lot of you sweating when you arrived back. I have to admit, my son dropped me off, so I really, really admire you. So my name is Heather McGregor, and I'm from YWCA Toronto. And you may wonder why YWCA Toronto is here. We have a lot of programs, housing, employment, and we have a lot of programs for women and children who've experienced violence. So you can understand why I'm here today, to support gun control and to talk about the horror of gun violence in our city. So recently I saw a statistic that was incredibly alarming.
I'll take that one.
Okay, thank you. A statistic that was incredibly alarming, and it was that in the past 20 years, gun violence in Canada has increased by 869%. 869% increase. So, unfortunately, we're not surprised about that. So, at the YWCA, we have 2 violence against women shelters. We have a no-interest loan program to help women escape situations of violence. And we have a program for child witnesses of violence. And what we know is that mothers, women, girls, and especially Black women and girls are often the caretakers of those mourning after a violent loss with limited financial or social support. As a feminist-led and run organization, we realize that gun violence in our city is a feminist issue, and an issue that is closely related to intimate partner violence. So just this summer, the City of Toronto took a wonderful step by declaring unanimously that intimate partner violence is an epidemic. And this is something that's been called for across the province. And 50% of the municipalities in Ontario have agreed and have their councils have supported that. We've advocated with the province to declare it an epidemic, and unfortunately they have declined to do that. And we will keep pushing this. The other thing that I want to say is that we need more support for those people who are the survivors of people who have been killed by gun violence, and they need all of our support. And I think that marches such as this and what we do in our everyday lives to talk about gun control is really important. So I encourage you to stick with it. I saw you last year, and I hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you. So anybody who's speaking, make sure that we stand by the tent, because the closer you are to the speaker, the more staticky it will be. So we want to make sure that everybody's able to hear us. So everybody in the back can hear us, right? I can hear you guys, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful people. You guys are also beautiful. So we're going to keep it moving. So the next speaker that we have comes from the Community for Zero Violence, and her name is Shauna. Oh, hi Shauna. There you go.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. If you just allow me to have 5 minutes of your time, my hope is that what I have to say may give hope to somebody. So we all know the sayings, you reap what you sow, what is done in the darkness always comes to light. A lot of times we use these references to the perpetrators of the crimes that they've committed and the loss of our loved ones. Today, I ask that you turn those around and you internalize that. You reap what you sow, and what's done in the darkness always comes to light. And I'm talking about the seeds that we plant within, the growth, the healing. I just want to read 3 quick quotes. The lotus flower develops from a little white flower into a big multicolored bloom. It typically grows in stagnant, murky, and muddy water and has deep roots in the mud below. The long stems rise through the water while the leaves rest directly on or above the surface of the water. So it grows where nobody can see it. Thank you. Grows where nobody can see it, where you don't think things are happening, but they're happening. One more. Bamboo is one of the fastest growing plants on the planet. It grows quickly, with some species can reach full maturity in 90 days, and most taking just a couple of years. One bamboo species can grow a massive 35 inches per day, or 1.5 inches per hour. Think about that growth. And the reason that I bring these up is because 6 years ago, I stood here in this same place, 3.5 weeks after my son was murdered in my driveway. 6 years ago, I planted seeds. There's people out here that I've had contact with who have been a part of my healing journey, that have been a part of where I am today. I stand here before you with growth. I'm still healing just like everybody else is, but the fact that I can stand here today and know that my voice has had an impact, that it's been heard, all of you are capable and all of you are worthy and deserving of those seeds being planted and that growth happening. And one other thing, to inspire others, don't show them your superpowers, show them theirs. So I just want to read one last thing for all of you. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau today announced that the first Friday of June each year will be proclaimed the National Day Against Gun Violence beginning this June 2nd. Will honor the victims of gun violence, bring awareness to the crisis in our country, and encourage Canadians to come together to find solutions. The announcement was made at the Toronto's Raptors practice facility, where the Prime Minister was joined by Raptors Vice Chairman and Team President Masai Ujiri, anti-gun violence community groups, and civic leaders. The Raptors played a critical role in rallying nearly 30,000 Canadians to sign a petition to observe this day. Let me tell you, every single one of you played a part in making that day happen from here going forward. Give yourselves a clap and a round of applause. I wish you all love, light, prosperity, and most of all, healing along your journey. Should we meet along the way, may we inspire others. And as we reach up to ask for help, always make sure to reach down and pull somebody up along with you. My son was a musician. He was the one that always held the mic. I hope I'm doing him justice. I love you. I miss you.
Thank you. Okay. So just a reminder, it is extremely hard for someone to come up here and share their story, to even speak. So I commend everybody that's about to come up here and share your story, because it is, it is a safe space, but at the same time, I know it's hard to do so. So I commend each and every one of you. So would you like to introduce the next beautiful young lady?
So the next individual that we're gonna have, it's our youth. Her name is Carlette Blake. Please come to the stage. Give her a round of applause, everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Carlette Blake. I'm 20 years old and I'm a survivor of a gunshot. I just want to start off by saying, with survivors, we're in the hospital and everybody's around, and that's only for a few months. but after the fact, there's not really a lot of people there for you unless you have a community like this that continues to check up on you and just to make sure that, you know, you're awake and you're thinking positive in the morning, just because everything you've already been through. As someone that went through this, I can speak on it, and I just want you guys to know it's not easy. Every day I wake up and it's hard. I have my sister and my brother to thank for that they're just here for me, and that they understand that it's gonna take time. It only happened to me a couple months ago, and I guess I was at the wrong place, wrong time, but I wasn't really doing nothing other than being with my friends, and I just really feel like that's something that should be said, because a lot of people think that when you're young in the streets or even just around people that it automatically supposed to happen to you. That doesn't mean that's what's supposed to happen. Speaking from the heart, I just want you guys to know that there's a lot of people in this world that are survivors, and we don't talk about what we go through as much, but we try to just be open with everybody and understand that everybody's also working with us to be better and to just continue to move forward. Just want you guys to know, if you guys have someone in your life that has been through this or that had someone that died, just to continue every morning, or at least when you can, to try and make sure that they're good. Check up on them, ask them if they're okay, ask them if they need a day with you. It means a lot, it really does. And thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. Can we give her another round of applause, a little bit louder, please? You're beautiful, you're amazing, you're an inspiration to a lot of young people out here, and you are the voice of the people.
I would like to kind of give a little background. I know Carlette came. It was a lot to her, so I really want you guys to encourage her, because this incident of hers happened this year in May. She was just going to visit a friend, and she got shot, one in the back, one in her side. She was in the hospital for weeks, on top of weeks, going through a lot of stuff. Knowing at her age, just to know that mentally, emotionally, every part of you is at a point where you don't even know how to think, what to believe anymore. So please, just encourage her for being able to come up here and stand up. For somebody who does not like to speak and speak in the crowd, for being able to come up and stand out, to see everyone here supporting her, someone like her, for what we're doing here. Just give her another round of applause.
Yes. She's very strong. Her family that she has around her is very supportive as well. That's her brother right there. For those, when she was thanking, and this is her beautiful sister here. She, like they say, it takes a village and a community to raise a child, right? So when we go through this situation, we don't allow families to go through it by themselves. We as a community come together. So once again, thank you so much for sharing your story. Would you like to introduce the next individual?
Here we have Nidu from Youth Mental Health Counselor from One-Stop Mental Health Services for Black Youth to the front, please.
Hi, like you said, my name is Nedu. I am from Wanasa Mental Health Counseling for Black Youth. And I just want to say that I am really honored and humbled to be allowed to kind of speak with all the just amazing voices that we've already heard today. And I think a lot of folks have already touched on something that's so important when it comes to mental health and gun violence. It is not just an individual issue, it is a community issue. And what helps get through a lot of these really difficult times is community. And I think that's kind of why they asked us to come and speak, because we talk about mental health and youth. And when gun violence takes place, regardless of what happens, it's the whole community that's affected. And oftentimes, just like Carlette was mentioning, sometimes it's hard to talk about. And so what we want to do is encourage those voices, promote the idea that mental health is incredibly important to all of our health. And when gun violence happens, it really causes a sense of trauma, and what trauma does is disconnects us from ourselves and our communities. So what we really think is important is to make sure that we are connecting with communities and supporting communities, and also making sure we're checking in with people's mental health. Now, trauma, fear, anxiety, depression, all of these things really kind of take into place and make it that much harder for us to say our voices. So the fact that people who have experienced it, who have lost people, and have experienced it themselves are being able to come here and talk about that, that really lowers the stigma. That is such an important thing to do, and I feel honored to be in this presence, and I just want to thank everyone who's spoken, and thank people as well for having us to be here. We are based out of Regent Park, and we help people, young people, talk about mental health and lower that stigma in that area. But as we talk about, like, gun violence is a huge city-wide issue. So, you know, we just want to encourage people to be able to reach out to their communities, reach out to their supports, and know that there are people in the community and supports from the community that are really wanting to help you and really wanting to support you and talk about these issues. And it starts young, and being able to have young people being willing to talk about that, being willing to actually like show up to these marches and having their whole families and community support them. I think that just shows how meaningful these conversations are. So yeah, that's basically all I want to say. Thank you again for having us here. This is amazing.
Thank you so much. I find that a lot of you guys, was it the walk? We're kind of low. Was it the walk? All right. I need to get more from you guys. So give him another round of applause, please. Thank you. That is so much better. I know we did a long walk, but keep in mind we're here for a reason. Do not let the purpose or the passion die off today, okay? We are now going to have Robin Rice Jingle dress dancer with her beautiful gown. Oh, that was so adorable.
So when you all hear the honor beat, I want everybody to raise your left hand up. So when I put my hand up, when I'm dancing, everybody raise their hand as well, because that's the honor beat, and that's honoring the people. That's honoring the spirit, and that's honoring ourselves, okay? I'm not going to talk much because I always talk, and I just need to dance right now, because when I was walking with all of you, I could feel a lot of that emotion. I could feel a lot of that within these cones and within the prayers. So I just want to send my love out to every single one of you. And this is my responsibility and my gift to all of you.
Let's give her another round of applause for that amazing dance. So we're gonna have another youth come and speak. His name is Josiah, and he'll be reading a letter to his father. Sorry guys, you guys are gonna, it's a long walk, I'm tired. Yeah, so he's reading a letter on behalf of Marcel from One by One movement.
Hello everyone, my name is Josiah Martin, and I have a message from the founder of One by One movement, Marcel Wilson. A big warm welcome to all of you warriors of justice, warriors of peace. I'm sorry I could not be here in person for our annual Community March Against Violence 2023, but I am here in spirit, and I walk through dedicated to and through my dedicated team at One by One, I was walking with you. We all been fighting for a good fight for some time now. And it may seem like all of our joint and individual efforts are making no difference. But they are. So please, in our loved ones' names, never give up. I would like to ask all of you guys to put your ones up. Let's have a moment of silence for all. Let's have a moment of silence for all the lives we have lost to violence. I want you to think of someone who you may have lost or are worried about losing.
Hello?
Thank you to all the agencies who put in the hard work to make this day happen every year. And thank you to all for attending. I will pass it off to my mom, Aisha Martin.
Greetings, everyone. I deem it necessary to begin by saying thank you to each and every one of you for being here today. Greetings, everyone. I deem it necessary to begin by saying thank you to each and every one of you for being here today. Now that I am here with you, my heart I gladly lay before you. My wounds, my tears, my pain, and with confidence, I'll share my truth. My name is Aisha. I am the mother of Maya, Josiah, and Taya. We lost our Brandon to gun violence on April 5th, 2023. We have officially marked 1 year and 5 months since his life was taken from us. He was my partner in 17 years, my best friend, my children's father, that active father who didn't allow his children to know what an absence was. His children are experiencing life continuously differently. His now absence for birthdays, holidays, and milestones, etc. I stand here today and I tell you that many, many systems are broken, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've had the honor of interacting with many from the city who were not able to get answers to help my family and I. I will also tell you this journey for justice and support isn't an easy one, and it includes bumps, detours, long roads, but don't give up. Keep fighting for what is right. As the family of a victim, our experience has been an ongoing battle. Bluntly, I want to tell you that way too often, those who face trauma and loss, we are just a number or a case file. Let me repeat, we're often just a number or a case file. We often don't know what direction to turn, who to trust. Politicians can shake your hand, smile for a picture, and forget your name. Some agencies show up and disappear. Some make promises to your children and never show up. Let me take a moment to shout out, one by one, Marcel, YWCA, Della, Evelyn Fox, and Brooklyn. For being the real ones out here. During the midst of being lost to this journey, these were the agencies that helped my family. Moving on. Brandon was tragically murdered. Victim services did not reach out to our family. I actually found out about victim services through Scott Funeral Home, which is the funeral home we use. I was told there was no longer funding for victim surviving children. I have not heard back from my victim services worker since the end of March. Changes need to be made to support families properly. There has been a total of 10 arrests, those charged with murder in Brandon's case. I have attended preliminary hearings since August 20th and ongoing until the 28th of next month. I have seen countless crime scene photos, images I can't get out of my head, but I continue to push forward, not just for Brandon, but for every single man, boy, child that have lost their life due to gun violence, and us as a population that have targets on our backs. We have to let the world know what's happening. This hurt gives me the strength to share my story, but to speak up to city workers, agencies, the Crown, detectives, victim services. One was charged and released to his mother in Markham, yet Brandon won't come home to us. More recently, one was released and sent home to his father in a Jane and Finch community. His family was relocated for safety reasons. In this city, those who have committed crimes have more rights than those of us left behind to feel the absence of our loved ones taken from us. These individuals have intruded and cheated Brandon from living a full life, my children from having their dad in their life, and cheated me. This is the first time I, as a mother, I can't fix something for my children. This hurt they carry and live daily. Here in the city, I learned that special priority isn't so priority. I actually said fucking priority, but I'm gonna be nice and say. I learned that special priority housing isn't so priority. And many families have experienced, like myself, a failing system where our calls go unanswered, extremely long wait times, and our safety is not often a priority. We are yet again just a foul number. Despite private calls, associates to the accused banging our door, calls coming from into the property management to verify if my children and I reside at our address, my family and I have not been relocated or housed, yet the criminals' families have been relocated for safety. Here in the city, you can be told if you are not receiving Ontario Works, funding for your hotel's safety stay has run out, and be sent to a shelter where there are mouse traps bigger than adult shoe boxes in a room and in a bathroom. In the city, bullets are flying, the future generations are dying. Families, children, and youth are losing safe places to create memories, play, and interact. During our journeys of grieving, I'm sure you've heard at some point, it will get better. Be strong. You have to focus on yourself, your children, you have to live. You know, we're often told about the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And I'm here to tell you that what we feel is valid, is powerful, and what we live and experience can't be put into a box or 5 of anything. Cry if you need to. We are all walking, living, breathing, living experiences. While our experiences may be different, we are our own unique population of people. We walk through life forced, and I mean forced to learn to live without the presence of our loved ones who are lost so tragically, in a system that is so damaged that lacks to support us. In closing, let's focus. Let's continue to pave the pathway to change. Let's be the voice for those who may have lost theirs. Life is short. Live it to the fullest. Tell your loved ones you love them. We have to continue to lift our voices. Someone is going to hear us one day. We have to continue to stand strong and advocate for our loved ones, our lost ones, and generations to come. Let us unite and help uplift one another. Let us have compassion and empathy enough to place ourselves in the shoes of others without judgment. Unite, share our stories, that others know that they are not alone. Let's be the change we need to see. Stop the silence and gun violence. Signed, Aisha, in spirit and truth. Thank you.
That was amazing. Give it up one more time for Josiah, Aisha, and her family, her beautiful family. Okay, next up, we're gonna have Gail Wilson from Counseling Services.
Nations, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you to the organizers and to the community who have collectively arrived here today with the aims of demanding justice, change, and finding solace in togetherness. I see you. My name is Gail, and I'm a social worker and a psychotherapist. I've been granted the beautiful opportunity to be amongst the Regent Park Mothers of Peace Healing Circles for mothers who have lost their children to guns and community violence. Today, I will briefly speak on what they have granted me to share. In our healing circles, I have witnessed a duality of both joy and pain. These mothers have come together to offer each other peace and an understanding that they only know and comprehend fully together. In their pain lies unanswered questions, feelings of being unheard, knowledge that justice has not prevailed, and that their grief is often misunderstood. The joy they feel is in our affirming moments when we share the comfort provided in the meals we have each session, the stories heard in our round table talks, and the pointed forms of daily resistance and resilience shared with each other regarding their healing. Their joy is also found in adventures and new forms of healing practice they embark on with RPMP. Even though many are very much so initially apprehensive and often afraid of being triggered or feeling guilty that they don't deserve their joy. These mothers are left to pick up the pieces of themselves alone. Truly, I know they are grateful for people like Soraya Ibrahim, who founded the RPMP group and continues to advocate for funding to offer space and programming for them to find themselves again. Many mothers who lose their children or families who lost friends, siblings, and a community member don't have continued spaces and programs like Mothers of Peace to attend to the pain that shows up in their lives every day. Often these supports, as we've heard here today, are hard to find, sometimes expensive, long waiting lists. They are short-lived, momentary, surface-level impacts to the long path that they will journey with their grief. Where do they go for support? Where do they go to find safety? How can they heal? And when they find these services, are these spaces accessible financially or consistent? Are they culturally safe and appropriate? Are they respectful and understanding of who these individuals are or what they've experienced? So many questions, not enough answers for our current short-lived solutions. As a champion of social equity, justice, and change, I'm here today to implore all who can implement the means to foster ongoing supportive spaces and healing programs to enact that will and wield your power now. You have been chosen either through your elected seat, your job designation, or otherwise to create meaningful change. It is time to make real change happen. No more waiting. The community here today are collectively saying we refuse to be silent about our pain, our loss, and our need for real justice and consistent support. In RPMP's last healing session this week, I asked the mothers what message they wanted me to convey here today, and this is what they said. 1, gun and community violence as an experience has been stigmatized, and many believe it can only happen to certain people, communities, or spaces. This is a farce. It can happen to any of us, and this is why your voice and action is required to make some changes. 2, consistent, timely, and quality healing supports for those loved ones left behind. For example, therapy, healing circles, healing retreats, and rehabilitative supports. 3, comprehensive health benefits under OHIP that covers the medical aftercare for families, siblings, parents, and the community. 4, enact legislative changes that will have comprehensive jail time for convicted killers. Last but not least, let's stop gun and community violence. Before I leave this space, let me express that as a mother and a human being, I know that in order to really address community and gun violence, we need to seek and dig out the root causes of social disparity, like poverty and poor housing, building positive community-led infrastructure in low-income communities that does not look to displace its residents, stomp out the disproportionate access to resources to better manage the social determinants of health, and to conquer the lack of cultural diversity in decision-making in this country and this province. Hire and support our youth. Diversify workspaces at the executive and working class levels. Build capacity within and for a new long and settled Canadians. And finally, change the policies, legislative laws, and practices that hold our country away from moving forward. Guns and community violence does not hold a progressive space in our collective future. History has already shown us this fact. Like rows of dominoes, it only takes one action or one innovative idea to start the wave of change. Let us act in betterment and good for humanity and set the stage for a better future for all Canadians. And finally, again, to our hired officials, decision makers who may be here today, can you hear the voices today? Can you feel their pain? Will you support us to enact meaningful changes? We need your support. However, we know that hungry mouths don't just get fed by asking. We need to act too. And as such, we are not without a plan. We are not without each other. And because we hunger for change, we will see it. I say,
Thank you, Gail. Wow. Can we give her a round of applause, please? Gail came with some ask, and she said what she said, and she meant it. Because everything that she said is actually relevant and needed. It's the things that we talk about in closed doors. It's the things that we speak around with our friends and around, round tables. But for her to come here today and to say all those things and to make those asks, it's very important because a lot of times us being here is the start. Us doing what we're doing right now is the start of everything. And I want everyone to realize that. Everyone holding their banners right now. We know that there's victims. And a lot of mothers, a lot of fathers, and a lot of us in ourselves as also lost people, right? So at the same time, we are surviving. We are surviving the trauma. We're surviving the hurt. We're surviving the pain. And I want all of you guys to know how strong you are. And because we're all here together as unity and as one, this is the beginning. This is the beginning. And we need to make sure that once we are starting, we are putting things forward. And with that said, we are going to call Sanso from Mending a Crack in the Skies.
Good afternoon, everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I have to say Allah rahmu for all our children who passed away, and may Allah give them peace, inshallah. And as a Mending the Crack in the Sky, we are the mothers who are stand up and say that's enough, it's enough, and we don't want no more gun violence, and we don't want it to be put on together for community and gun violence. They are not mixed. We are the community. We don't need a gun violence. As a mothers, we stand up and we said, you know what? The guns, we are not bringing it here. And the guns, it's not an anjera. It's the one is that we cook. It's not the rice we cook. We don't know where it's coming from. The government knows where they're coming from. So they have to stop it. Where is that come from? That's the number one. Number two, is as a mothers for Mending the Crack in the Sky, we stand up for 5 pillars. The 5 pillars is number one is we have to looking for justice for our youth who are passed away and they didn't have a justice enough. The one who's in the jail and the one who's passed away. So both of them, that's what we would stand up. Second is that's what we wanted to make it the documentaries film. That means for every step we have to put on and we never forget for our children. Never ever. We don't want it to forget. That's the number 2. Number 3 is education. That's what we are always for our children is a pipeline for the school to the jail. And that's the things we don't want it. And then we want it for our children. They have to have a hope. And they have to move forward. We didn't came for this country to have it for our children to go for graveyard. We want it for our children. They have to have it for different things. And the better things, we didn't even have it before even our own country. That's why we came here. We didn't want to fight for the guns, and we don't want to fight for any bullshit. Sorry about that, my language, and always I'm apologize my language. But that's the things it is. We don't want it for any bullshit, and we don't want it the sugar coating for the schools or justice system. We don't want it for this one. And the one we wanted is the second thing is a mental health and anti-racism action plan. That's what's the meaning. It is like our children, even though they are in the jail and they are in the school, they are having mental issue. Because of what? Because of their siblings, because of their neighborhood. That's what was killed, and that's what was they are mourning to them. And that's the things we wanted to stop it for that one. And we have to listen for the young one and say, you know what, we know, and we have to stand up for them. And the fifth one is the businesses. Because we are mothers who have a business, a lot of businesses we have in it, and we stand up. We don't want to collect the welfare. We are taxpayers. And that's why it's our taxpayers, they have to work with us. Sorry. So that's what the mothers, they are lost. When they are lost for their kids, they're lost for their business, they're lost for their home. And that's where we stand up and we said enough is enough. And that's where we are standing still. We can say, all of you together, please say enough is enough for the gun violence. Enough is enough. Thank you.
All right. So the next individual, the next person that I'm going to bring up is Tanisha. She's a mother, and she's also part of representing for Zero Gun Violence as well. She's going to speak to you guys further.
Hi everyone. My condolences to everyone who have lost someone, whether it been a relative or a friend. I am a survivor's mom, and as a survivor, I'd like you to know that my family has also experienced a death of innocence, a death of freedom, and it's difficult. My son was recently hurt, and he almost didn't make it. Quote unquote, Mom, I died, and there was a spirit there telling me to fight because you were going to be disappointed. My family was going to be disappointed. It was very recent, in the summer, one late evening, coming from basketball in the Jane and Shoreham community. I have to say that at first, victim service quick response, which I heard many of you refer to who have spoken already, was not quick response, as they call it, right? There's a lot I could say, but I'd like all my people of color out here to know that they have watered down and dissolved programs that's supposed to help victims and survivors. And I'm telling you that as a person who works as a Toronto occasional teacher, but was differently abled for 2 years, still is. I couldn't do the walk, but I parked and I walked over. So I'm telling you, those struggles actually led into this struggle that I'm having with my son now and having to get those, supports that we should be getting. Just to show you how unsupportive they are and how long I took. I was in the hospital with my family for about a week. Morning, noon, and night. I did not go home. No help was offered. And when I called, they said, oh, your son is an adult and he would have to come whenever he comes out of intubation, whenever he wakes up. No, my son is 16 years old, and they said on the news he was a man. Even the hospital, when I arrived there, On my way there, they were telling me, no, it's not your son. He looks like a man. Very tall and attractive. He plays basketball. He volunteers with children. He had just gotten a job at Wonderland. So let me tell you, after all the services that Victim Services had offered, after waiting a month to get some kind of reprieve for my parking tickets, right? Because they have a program where they provide you with gift cards and stuff. Some of the places you can't use it because it won't swipe because everybody's stopping nowadays. I get a letter in the mail. Victim Services. I didn't even look at the name. Remember, my son is a survivor. Okay? Help me, please. And I'll just show you the type of struggle that people of color have been going through. And for those of you who are familiar with death, I'm shaking right now. I don't want you to get the person's name because it doesn't belong to my son. They made a mistake. After me waiting a whole month, plus 2 weeks, 6 weeks, because it's almost been 2 months he's been hurt. A death certificate that belongs to someone else. I called the worker at Victim Services. I said, I received the letter, I thought it was mine, of course. Did not even check I checked the address was right, but I didn't check who it was addressed to because I've been trying to move and do all sorts of these things. Oh, we're sorry. I'll come and collect it from you. I said, okay. He said, I'm going to find out where the check went and then we could give it to you. Oh, no, I haven't received the check. I sent him an email. What did he do? Oh, we mailed the check out to you. I said, I've been waiting for an entire month. And this is what happened. So as people of color, there's a lot I could say. But what I'm going to say to you is, in 1999, was it? April of 1999, Ford government announced that we are going to water down the grants or whatever it is that they're supposed to give to victims, right, of crime. I think it was up to $25,000. And then in 2021, right, he says we are going to dissolve it. What does dissolve mean? It means that if you've been hurt, you will get nothing. What did Victim Services say to me? They said, oh, your son is a minor and he wasn't working. That was an assumption. So he'll get $1,000. What can $1,000 do? It can't pay for his wheelchair. Oh, you should maybe go on Ontario Works or ODSP. I said, I've been struggling since 2021 not to go on ODSP because I work, right? I have been an advocate in my community for years, and we've been talking about violence, and our TCHC makes plans and rules to keep us safe, but they do not follow through with them. So I'm saying to you, I know maybe my 5 minutes is almost up. Give me a nudge, Brooklyn. I'm saying to you, as people of color, we need to stand up when we hear things like this, and we need to say no. We need to come here and we need to march. Let our voices be heard. We need to contact our MP or MPP so that they know that we as people of color, you cannot take things from our community. We have to build this country. You can't take things from our community and then leave us in the dark. Okay? People are out here suffering. You might think violence may not knock on your door. I thought that because I comforted students who've lost their friends, their family, and I did not know as an occasional teacher, as an LTO teacher, that it would feel like this. Now that I'm in that position, I can't explain what it feels like. You can only imagine, but you can never imagine enough until you go through it on your own. So I'm saying, try to fight. Fight hard, people, because We're minorities and they want to take all the benefits that we should have. Okay? Thank you for listening.
My name is Louis March. I'm the founder of Zero Gun Violence Movement. I want to make this clear. We started in 2013 trying to deal with the gun violence, issue in the city of Toronto. We had 7 community organizations coming together and say we're going to start a 90-day summer campaign to deal with the gun violence issue. We were going to find out what was going on. We will deal with it from community to community. Little did we know that on day 91, we hadn't even scratched the surface. There was so much going on with the gun violence issue that there's no way you could have imagined it. This year is 10 years now that we've been doing this work. And every time we figured it out, I realized that there's still much to be figured out. But I've also met some incredible people. I've met some incredible people that are doing incredible work. I've worked with a lot of community organizations that are making a difference. And I know that if they were not doing this work, we would be in a worse situation. That we would be in a worse situation. So I'm going to try to be positive and just say thank you to the incredible people that are doing incredible work. Toronto is still a world-class city where we do a lot of things right, but we also do a lot of things wrong. And when it comes to gun violence and providing support for those that are in desperate need, we have to do better. And that's why we're doing this march today, to bring attention to the fact that the level of suffering, trauma, hurt and pain taking place, the matching support, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense. We cannot have expiry dates on support dealing with trauma because everybody deals with it differently. So you can't say 10 sessions, that's it. So we have to speak louder now to make sure that it really matches what the person needs. Finally, I don't see any reason why we should not have access to OIT to cover the cost for any medical trauma services that victims of gun violence incur. So we stand today in front of the Queen's Park, and I think it's important to deliver this message. OIT, we need to open the door and access to OIT so that they can cover some of these costs. This is a surprise to me, but on my right-hand side, out to ride, when we asked them to come here, they said it would be an honor to be here, to be a part of it. So if you can give them a round of applause. And to my surprise, right, my brother is also with him. He phoned me and said, why didn't I invite him? I said, I didn't think you were into this, but he's over there somewhere, right? He's my actual legitimate brother. So give him a round of applause, please.
Put your hand up. Put your hand up. When Louis brother at? That one. I knew it. He was turning around, but we said it the back to the brother.
And to each and every one of you, to the police officers that helped us along the route, to the security here, each and every one of you that is standing here right now in front of me, please don't give up the fight. You are making a difference, but we need to see more of you. Reach out and touch somebody that's making a difference and encourage and support them. We can do better, we must do better, and we will do better. Thank you.
Shout out to Louis' brother again. Don't try that mic next time. I like that. Support. Before I go on to the next speakers, which is the City of Toronto, one thing that I can take back from listening to each and every one of you guys that come up here is about the agencies and the lack of support thereof. When I sit at focus tables all the time and I hear agencies being
you know, when they're bringing up agencies and saying these are what agencies have been doing for the community. But deep down inside, I know they haven't done absolutely nothing. So next year, I'm asking that we all stand together and ask a person from Victim Services to come here so they can hear us loud and clear. Somebody from TCHC to come here so they can hear us loud and clear. We need somebody from every single agency down here, because us speaking is like us speaking on deaf ears. We're basically speaking to each other, and we actually need to be speaking to the agencies who we feel are not doing anything for our community. So Victim Service is the #1 on our list. That's who we're going to go for at first, and then we're going to go down the list. And this takes a community to do this. Not one person, not one mother, not one agency. It takes all of us to stand together in unity and say enough is enough. And if you're going to help our families, help our families. Do not use our families for media attention, for photo ops. That's not what it's about. Be in our communities to help our communities, and not only when you see a youth on the floor dying. So once again, I need everyone to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Yes, and to all the politicians, I need you guys to start doing your job. Seriously. Stop knocking on our doors for votes and actually start helping our communities, because we're tired of it. It's getting really old now. It's really getting old. It's really getting old, and we're tired of it. So you guys already know I'm not going to get started, because if we get started, then I'm like it. But anyways, so we're going to go on to the City of Toronto. Do we have a representative from the City of Toronto to come up to speak? Charlton likes the background. Everybody say hi, Charlton! Hi, Charlton! Sorry, I had to.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Keisha Richardson, and this is Charlton. Charlton's been a part of the planning coordination representing the city for this, so please give him a round of applause, because he was trying to document you guys I just wanted to briefly take the time to speak, aware of positionality as well too. So I just wanted to humbly thank you all. I'm very inspired to be here. I'm not here just as a City of Toronto staff. I'm here as an auntie who lost her nephew last year to gun violence, and so I'm walking here with a passion and a purpose here as well. Being mindful of that, we are also here representing the City of Toronto, and I just wanted to highlight a couple things. Obviously not taking too much space, it's not our show. And we're mindful sometimes how that can be perceived with us being present. The City of Toronto has committed to look at safety from a different perspective through the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan that is known as Safe2Yo. That's been adopted by Council in 2021. There's 26 priority actions, 7 priorities, but 2.1 is to work towards the reduction of gun violence. And so I just wanted to highlight a couple of our programs that are doing that. And pay tribute to them as well too. Some of you are familiar with the Crisis Response Program, supervised by Kevin, who's actually here, who rode today with us. I'm just, when I was here working with CCRP, I'm just remembering the interactions I had with the Regent Park Mothers of Peace, and be able to work with Shauna Brown as well too. And so just wanted to remind folks that CCRP is here to support when there's critical incidents in terms of intervention, to work with community in terms of prevention, and to work with community in terms of how we can prepare for incidents that are about to happen. Other programs that the city are working on right now include Towards Peace. Now, Towards Peace hasn't been spoken about a lot, so it might be the first that you folks are hearing about it for the first time, but Towards Peace is a new program that's launched in the Northwest, looking at being risk-driven intervention. And it's been built with community, it's been built in consultation with community. And so I want to just shout out YACE and Think Twice, who are the grassroots groups that are supporting the program in Rexdale, and Jamie Finch. They're doing very, very important work. One of the most important concepts within that program is the value of community and lived experience. And so the city working with community to identify community leaders who have lived experience that can do the work that needs to be done to intervene and support young people that might be impacted directly by gun violence. I also, just before wrapping up, want to acknowledge what folks have said here, identifying some of the challenges with some of our institutional partners like Victim Services and like Toronto Community Housing. and making commitment and value. I know folks don't feel like their voices are heard, and I'm not taking your voices from you, but just ensuring that what we've heard here today will be communicated to our partners, because part of SafeTO is being a collaborative approach across sectors, with community, and across different levels of government. And so taking the feedback and the experiences and the hurt and pain, and believe you, I shared those tears. I'm wearing my baby boy on my chest. I share those tears with you. We will be highlighting those concerns and looking to work towards consistent, continued collaboration, not just amongst ourselves as stakeholders, but ensuring that we're doing that foot to foot with community and yourself. So I just want to thank you all. I'm privileged to be here. Big shout out to Louis, because Louis has always been a good ally and a partner that we work in the community as well too. But just wanted to thank you all for being here. It's not easy work, and hard work never is. Hard work is hard work. So appreciate you taking the time to be here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I think we don't hear it a lot that collaboration is important. So for you to speak, stand here and speak and say that you're actually going to take back what's happening here and the words that are being said today to your partners, just make sure that they are listening, because we are speaking up and we're speaking loud and we're speaking proud. So thank you for doing that for us today. I want to now introduce Tatiana. Woo! Woo!
Peace, love, and light to everybody who joins us here today on the strength of their pain and burning desire for change to be made in our communities. My name is Tatiana Dirtle, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to share a glimpse of my story with you all and how gun violence has drastically changed my life, but also forced me to find my voice at the same time. It all started when I was only 5 years old. My father, Ronald Lawrence Williams, was brutally shot 7 times at his best friend's birthday party after simply asking an uninvited man who was being hostile with the guests to leave the premises. At such a young age, I was stripped of my childhood and forced to navigate a life which I no longer understood. 5 years later, just as I was starting to adjust to my new life, our apartment was robbed by about 7 guys who held my sibling's father to gunpoint, along with me and my infant baby brother, who I held in my shaking arms the entire time. Thankfully, there were no casualties that night, but the fear and the trauma never left us. 7 years following, my close friend and classmate, Elijah Aziabor, was wrongfully taken from his lovely family. Due to the same senseless behavior that has been stripping families of their loved one for far too long. At this point, my soul was restless, and I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know where to start, and I felt powerless. Less than 5 years later, my community was rocked by the passing of a lovely young man, Zabion Lawrence, who was well loved and admired by everybody around him, including my younger sister, who now had to carry the same heartache that I also had to endure a couple years prior. I remember sitting there doing all the calculations, comparing and contrasting all these situations. You're telling me the similarities between all three are merely a coincidence? A coincidence it may be, but I knew I had to look deeper and I had to connect the dots. Their passing happened in subsequent order, one after the other, all due to gun violence, all in September. At this point, I was outraged. Outraged on behalf of all the mothers and families of these victims. Outraged that everybody that hears these victims' names and they see the face of a child, an innocent, loving, and cheerful child. Who the hell do you think you are? I imagine myself screaming in the faces of these gunmen and unrighteous prosecutors. I take a breath. Coming down from my fiery state, now short of breath and red in the face, I choose to put my rage to the side. Now looking at these same faces again, this time with my maternal glasses on, and seeing the face of another child. This time, a child with no support system, no guidance, lack of self-awareness, and neglected trauma turned into character. I then discovered that if change was going to be made,
it had to start with the youth themselves. This year, I had the privilege to train with the Community Healing Project, and over the course of 12 weeks, I was able to enhance my personal and community development skills, which I then shared with the youth in my very own community through a series of mental health workshops that were based around self-awareness, conflict management, and other mental health literacy topics that we discussed. Overall, it was a special and beautiful experience to work alongside the youth, helping them grow a safe space, and to also watch how they all opened up, looked within themselves, learned about themselves, as well as each other. Everyone deserves a safe space to express themselves and learn how to regulate their emotions, but especially our youth that are being misconstrued to act before they think, without weighing any consequences. I now will leave you all with a little poem that I wrote. With love in my heart and sorrow in my soul, I look to the sky for what the future unfolds. Searching for answers I'll never up there find, because the solution is found with compassion amongst mankind. It's our job to love one another. It's our job to see everyone as sisters and brothers. What I ask of my people is prevent the suffering of more innocent mothers, because even your worst enemy deserves to live and see their granddaughters. So next time you're beefing and it results in a fight, remember that nothing on earth gives you the right to strip someone of who they love most. Put your pride aside and hold your enemy close. And imagine your mother mourning your loss every time you think your actions have no cost. It's our job to guide the youth. And if there's anything you took from hearing me speak today, please let it be that your story is beautifully crafted, and that everything you've ever endured is only meant to make you more resilient and to inspire a change to be made. Be the change that you want to see, because you have the power to make it happen. If I could do it, all of you guys can do it. Peace, love, and harmony to everybody who joins us here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. Give her a round of applause. She is brave to have come up here and speak in that manner. Thank you so much, Tatiana.
Well, before we go on to the next speaker, I just want to introduce another young lady here who's doing great things for the Jane Finch community, along with across the GTA. Her name is Afia, and she's part of the New Narrative program. And she's just going to tell you a little bit about her program. Then we're going to go on to the next speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Brooklyn said, my name is Afia. Brooklyn, I want to big you up as well. The work that you do is amazing. The support that you give to people's families, who you are as a person. Thank you for all that you do. So my name is Afia, and I work with YES. And what we do is that we help youth ages 6 to 29 who are affected by gun violence to kind of change the trajectory of their lives. So that's through supports. Tatiana did mention guiding the youth, and that's what we want to do. We want to give them the opportunity so they don't have to turn to things that end up in crime, that end up in murdering of others, such as employment, such as academics, such as getting mental health supports. That is our job as I don't want to say elders yet, but as elders older than the youth. We need to give them things to look forward to, things to think about, think of a future for them, because a lot of them do not see past even 18 years old. And so they're willing to do anything because they don't think they have a future. And so our job is to give them that light, to show them that there is a future out there for them. And I just want to say to everybody suffering here from gun violence that we are here for you. We are located in the old Regina Patches School. If you want to come by, you can. We have an amazing space to come talk, to come learn more about our programs. We're at 45 North Finch. I'll be there. Brooklyn will be there. Our team will be there. And we're just here in support. So I want to say thank you for your guys' time.
Thank you, Golden. So we're going to keep it moving. Denise, Mother of Peace, is she here? You take your time and you tell your story. There's no rush at all. Okay? Would you like me to hold the mic, or are you okay to hold the mic? You know what? I'll make you hold the mic and I'll hold this for you.
Hi, my name is Denise. I tried to think about what I was going to say today, and so I just keep moving. I'm a mother of an angel. I made this morning. I really didn't know what to say, what to do. I sometimes express it by people again. Make you understand what all of this does to me. His name is Joanne. I didn't say was, although he's passed, because he still lives within me. He's still in my heart. He guides me. He looks down on me. He is my angel. I know last year, I sang you the number. I sang a song. I always used to sing to my son when he was small. And although he's gone, the song he sang was just the name of mine. The love I have for my son, I will never let it dim. We need to keep the flame burning. We need to keep the energy strong to prevent this from happening to any of it going forward. It is not something that is easy to deal with. It's a lifelong situation. They say there's healing. I don't know if there is, but I still have not found it. But for all the mothers that are here, family that are here, that have lost a loved one, always keep their light burning. Because when we keep it burning, it will motivate us to keep going, to fight the good fight, to prevent families from going through this hurt. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Whenever I go to visit my somebody's resting place, I always have a candle there that I always light. Show him up above. Mommy still loves him. And Mommy's not gonna forget him. I'm here for it. As this thing says, and everybody has reiterated, the saying, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We as people have suffered for a long time with all different forms of systematic racism, and we should not have to go through dealing with the death of our children to senseless crime. On the back of this, my name, my son's name, brought joy to my life. When I had him, I was over the moon. When I talked about OHIP, funding, social agencies that should be supporting us. But I want to say, we as a community, as colored people, we need to support one another. We need to be there for one another. We need to help each other with their kids. My son was a victim of gun violence, but these killers have been victimized. Although they have done awful things, we should not forget that they themselves weren't born killers. They became killers. The lack of support, the systematic racism that exists in our schools, the lack of intervention, mental health support that they need. Someone had spoke about getting rid of the stigma. I'm a firm believer in that. The news portrays us as bad people. The news portrays us as people that are impoverished. We live in poverty. We are bad. We are gangsters. I am here to stand here firm and say, I am not a part of that. I was never a part of that. And my son became victim to it. Kids that live in those neighborhoods. As people sometimes say, they're a product of the society that they live in. But if we as people join together, help them before they lose their way, they would not become victimized. They would not be looked upon as they are from there. I don't look on anybody as they are from there. I look on everybody as human beings. Everybody has a potential to be something, to be a productive citizen of society. But we as people need to band together. I am here by myself. I have asked my friends to come with me, but yet still here I stand. And I would love to see, as this march continues every year, that more families and friends join us in this march. I am tired to see on the news other communities that band together for things that are happening in their country, but we see a whole heap of them come out and protest for assistance. Why, as we, as black people or colored people, cannot do the same? We need to show society that we stand together, regardless of whatever neighborhood we come from. Because at the end of the day, we all show the same. We all show the same color when we walk the streets. And we need everyone to join together and help our youth, because they are lost. They don't feel that there is hope. They don't feel there's a place for them in this society. But we have to make them feel like they can be a part of this society and progress. Change the narrative that we cannot be, but we will be, because we can be. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Next we have Stephen Mensah from the Toronto Youth Cabinet. Round of applause.
Can you guys hear me good? Thank you, Rita. As mentioned, my name is Stephen Mensah. I'm the Executive Director of the Toronto Youth Cabinet. So the Toronto Youth Cabinet was established in 1998 by Toronto City Council to advocate on behalf of Toronto's over 600,000 youth. For the over 25 years that we've been in existence, we've long been calling for government to take on tangible measures and steps to address youth violence and prevent it, as well as to improve young people's overall socio-economic conditions. I'll try not to be long today. As we know, the epidemic of gun violence continues to plague our city, and our youth are most affected by it. We must ensure that our youth are able to live and grow in healthy and safe communities. For far too long, our young people have suffered from a lack of investments and support, which has contributed to the worsening of the cycle of violence. All levels of government must act vigorously to improve young people's socioeconomic conditions by focusing on the root causes of violence. Now, I just want to paint a picture that I'm sure many of you have heard or can relate to. A picture of the realities of young people. Wherever you are in this city, you hear the same thing from young people, that they're suffering from food insecurity. Young people are visiting food banks. Young people are facing a rising youth mental health crisis. Toronto, we have the worst youth unemployment rate in all of Ontario, and one of the worst in Canada. And we know for Black and Indigenous young people, those numbers are far worse. In Toronto, we have neighborhood community offices in 52 of our communities. In total, we have 206 offices, which means 4 in each of those communities. Yet, we only have 40 active youth hubs. So how can we as a city say we care more about prevention than intervention, yet we have more police officers in our communities than we do have youth hubs? Yeah, and I want to reiterate, this is not anti-police sentiments. This is pro-common sense. Because when you even talk to those police officers, many of those neighborhood community officers, yeah, they are improper, but they'll tell you themselves, how can I engage young people when I don't even know where they are? We got to realign our priorities to focus more on young people, focus more on improving their conditions, than focus more on policing our communities, which we know is not going to give us the results that we want to see in the long term. As I speak today, a youth hub in the west side of the city is going to be torn down soon to build a condo with no plans on rebuilding it. Where are our priorities as a city? The time for platitudes and nice words are far gone. Now is the time for urgent and vigorous action to improve young people's socioeconomic conditions. Now, when we look at cities like Chicago and New York, they are desperately trying to get out of their situation by putting over hundreds of millions of dollars to support young people, giving young people jobs, opportunities. But yet in Toronto, we seem very dedicated to go into the situation that New York and Chicago are in. But when we talk about investments into young people and families, the city of Toronto is far behind. There's no urgency to support our young people, and yet we wonder why there's carjackings, why there's no pharmacy robberies, why young people are disproportionately impacted and disproportionately committing these offenses. Now, I'm not going to justify criminality at all, but we've created the conditions that we're in that have led young people to, once again, not have a hope for a better future, and instead, take on measures and means that are not productive. It's why the Toronto Youth Cabinet and myself have been vigorously calling for the city to ensure every neighborhood improvement area has an active youth hub where young people are able to access recreational programming and support services. This is why the Toronto Youth Cabinet has been calling for a summer youth employment program to ensure young people have access to meaningful and gainful employment, to ensure Black youth, Indigenous youth, foster youth, and all of these other at-risk populations are able to get a meaningful job. You look at New York, last summer they gave over 100,000 Black and Indigenous at-risk youth employment. In Google, in Microsoft, Apple. In Toronto, we couldn't even meet the number of young people we wanted to give jobs to last year, and there was only 1,000 young people that the city had targeted to give to give employment. And so there's obviously much more that we need to do to ensure that we support young people. We can't be quick to arrest and prosecute our way out of this epidemic while not taking the common sense steps to ensure that our young people are supported. I'm not going to be quick to criminalize young people, yet we've not taken the steps to support those same young people that we want to lock up and that we want to make sure that we just forget about them in our prisons. And now, as I conclude, I really want us to remember that one death is one too many, one carjacking is one too many, one school shooting is one too many, one young person visiting a food bank is one too many, one young person who has lost hope for a better future is one too many. Our youth in this city deserve to live, or even more so, they deserve to live with a bounty of opportunity and support, one where they're able to succeed and thrive and reach their full individual potential. So I hope today and every day we're able to recommit ourselves to fulfilling that purpose so that Toronto's young people, once again, are able to succeed and thrive. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, so before we go into the closing remarks, I'm just going to bring up two youth from Gen Chosen. They are, can you guys come up? Can I have Chris and Denzel? They're just going to do a real quick spoken word.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Chris. Made a little poem in regards to just the experience of the Black experience of violence, and this approach to it. Ignorance and power is the enemy of justice, and no longer can we stand for that which misrepresents us. Pressing its knee on the windpipe from that which a voice of the people emanates so beautifully. Change is not what we see, but how we see it. To make real change and rearrange the structures keeping us in chains, we must change our minds through acts of love. We gotta be it. Let not the deaths of those that passed be in vain. Use all the gifts that our ancestry claims to realize the dreams of those that died in the name of truth and light. Set out to guide us on the path that was paved in search of freedom and justice.
Before I begin, I just want to thank Gabe real quick. Let's begin. Those of lost, although it may not show, I still breathe. I still find myself stuck, trapped within my own sadness, living in fear, but not in fear of death, in fear of becoming victim to that volatile sadness that so effortlessly morphs into anger. And when I find myself in silence, and I close my eyes and recite my prayers, I hope you're all listening. So know that I'll still hold you all dear.
Thank you so much.
I know today was a heavy day, but also a light day. We heard a lot of stories today, which were very important. So I want to thank you all, every single one of you here, for coming out, fighting the fight, walking the walk, supporting the cause, supporting each other, uniting together, and coming as one. Because when we come as one is when we are the strongest. When we come as one is where we can fight and do what is necessary. So I want to thank each and every one of you today for coming out and being a part of this every single year. I want to give a shout out to DJCC and the mental health teams. I want to also say thank you to YWCA Toronto, Mending the Crack in the Sky, One by One Movement,
Zero Gun Violence Movement, Develop Me Youth, which this beautiful lady right here is the founder of. She doesn't speak enough about her program, but it's real dope, and it's really out here helping youth and communities and making a great impact. The City of Toronto, Mother of Peace.
Ian, sorry, I'm not going to pronounce this right, so. Is that right? Inajibi? Okay. Inajibi. Inegbi. Sorry.
Oh.
I apologize. Inegbi.
Oh, sorry about that.
Wanasha Mental Health Services, Communities for Zero Violence, Gabe's Red Balloon,
Toronto Youth Cabinet, and Gale Counseling Services. We appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming out every single year, doing the march, walking in solidarity, walking in unity. And next year, hopefully, it will be bigger and better than it was this year. And also, just a reminder, we might change the route next year, people. Come to know, say, on a foot tired. So we might have to change the route. Louis, we have to talk about that after. Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming out. We are going to close out.
Round of applause,
Give yourself a round of applause. To the youth that came out. To the youth that came out, shout you guys out. You guys did amazing. Coming up here, speaking to all the speakers, to all the mothers, to all the agencies, organizations. And we are going to close out the way we know how. Oh,
with Robin.
As they get ready. They're getting ready. You guys know who this is, right? Marley. Ha. Come on, guys. Come on. We have to get hype. Come on. One love. What? One heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Come on, people. Let's go. One love. Pop, pop. One heart. And praise to the what? Feel alright. Alright, so we're gonna feel. Hold on, before we go, shout out to the bikers as well for showing up. Bikers Club, we couldn't have did it without you guys. We love you guys so much. So right now we are gonna have a dance, right? To send us out.
We're Robin. thank everybody for coming, and I just want to say thank you, Robin. I know it's a lot to ask our young people sometimes when we ask them to dance for us and we offer them that semwa so they can work with our healing in our health. So it's a lot to ask for young people. Chimigwich, I want to say thank you for that, and I want to also say, I don't know if you all know it, but everybody that has lost loved ones, parents, children, grandparents, aunts, uncles, that they were with us here today. So they walked with us through that march. And that's why we do things in a good way. That's why we open in a good way. And we gotta remember to close that circle when we're done. You know, we're finished today. And I want to say thank you to Kinagwaya Abujahad, Masaya. Thank you to all our ancestors. And with that, I want to close. Thank you, everybody.
And that concludes our
2023.
Yes, Community Against Violence.
Yes.
Walk. Thank you guys again. Remember, Jesus. The only way for things to, in order for things to change, we have to change amongst ourselves. So we cannot expect the politicians, who else? The people, like the police officers, anything of that nature to change our community. We have to be the change that sets the tone. We cannot expect them to come in and change something that we started ourselves. So, mothers, brothers, sisters, uncles, I need you guys to go home today, hug your loved ones, tell them you love them, and stand behind them and support them, because that's what they feel like we don't have. They have a lack of support. As young black men, they feel like we don't support them enough, and they feel that we look at them like they're bad youths, but in reality, they're not. So once again, we love you, we support you, and everyone have a blessed and amazing day. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also follow us on social media, and for more information, check out our website.